Have you ever felt like the entire world is conspiring to make sure you never truly have money? Think about it. Every time your paycheck arrives, there's already an invisible line waiting to rip it from your hands. Rent, electricity, gas, credit cards, groceries, and as if that weren't enough, the government takes its share before you even touch it. And what's left? Almost nothing. But the most shocking part isn't that. The real shock is realizing this isn't bad luck, carelessness, or a hard life. It's a system carefully designed to keep you running endlessly without ever breaking free. The biggest scam ever sold to you is the middle class. They convinced you that if you study, work hard, finance a house, and buy a car, you'll have stability. The perfect illusion. But let me ask, what good is a house if it isn't really yours, but the bank's for the next 30 years? What good is a brand new car if it loses value the second it leaves the dealership, and you still have to pay interest, insurance, and maintenance? What good is a high credit card limit if every swipe is just another golden chain tightening around your neck month after month? The so-called middle class isn't privileged, it's domesticated livestock. People trapped in debt and taxes, convinced they're living better, when in reality, they're just fueling the luxury of a few. Picture the scene. John, an ordinary worker, wakes up at 5 in the morning, spends 2 hours in overcrowded transit grinds for 10 hours under a boss who sees him as disposable, comes home exhausted and opens a drawer full of bills. The feeling of victory, zero. Yet on the weekend, John takes a photo with his financed car, posts it online, and gets dozens of comments. "You made it." He smiles, but deep down he knows he owns nothing. That's manipulation. The system built a shiny showcase called the middle class, so you take pride in your own prison. You don't own your house, your car, or even your time. You only own your debts. And here's the cruelest part. This isn't by accident. The government knows it needs a group to shoulder the heaviest taxes. The rich stash money offshore. The poor receive welfare. Who's left carrying the machine? You, the middle class. You're the one financing corrupt politicians, greedy banks, and corporations that will never give you access to the real game of wealth. Your sweat pays for their privileges. Meanwhile, they throw you scraps to keep you proud of being middle class. You're like a hamster on a wheel, running endlessly but never getting anywhere. Want another brutal example? Retirement. They told you that after 35 or 40 years of hard work, you'd finally rest. But with every reform, the retirement age climbs higher, the benefits shrink, and the promise of comfort becomes a cruel joke. How many people do you know who retired and now live with dignity? Most keep working because their pension barely covers the basics. What does that mean? The system never intended for you to rest. The plan was always to drain you until your last breath. Meanwhile, look at how the rich play a completely different game. They don't buy liabilities, they buy assets. They don't finance cars, they finance businesses. They don't live off paychecks, they live off dividends. What you were taught about money is a manual on how to stay poor. What they learned is the secret to escaping. And if you think that's just coincidence, luck, or intelligence, wake up. It's not. It's deliberate. Schools never taught you finance because they don't want you to learn. Governments don't promote financial education because they need you to keep paying without question. Banks don't want you investing. They want you borrowing. It's a perfectly designed machine to enrich the few and enslave the many. Think about how advertising manipulates your mind. They sell you a new phone every year, a car with affordable installments, vacations on 12 easy payments. You buy, you go into debt, you feel proud, and you show it off. But every step forward in that race is just another chain around your ankles. What they call a comfortable life is actually an invisible trap. You think you own more, but what you really own are bigger, shinier debts. What you flaunt isn't progress, it's polished shackles. And the saddest part? This cycle repeats generation after generation. Middle-class children don't inherit wealth, they inherit debt. They grow up hearing study, work, pay your bills, buy your house, get your car. They repeat the cycle without questioning it. And by the time they realize they're running the same race their parents did, it's already too late. If the middle class were real, families would be accumulating wealth over time. But that's not what happens. Instead, entire families remain stuck in the same hamster wheel, believing they're moving forward when they're just spinning in circles. But there is a way out. And that's why this is the only finance video you'll ever need. Because it's not about memorizing 50 tips or downloading miracle apps. It's about awareness. Awareness that the logic is simple. Either you keep sustaining the system or you learn to sustain yourself. It is about flipping the script and deciding you won, to be a slave to interest anymore, that you won't trade freedom for vanity, that you won't live paycheck to paycheck, but will start building income that works for you. You might be thinking, but I don't earn much. How can I change anything? The answer is clear. It's not about how much you earn, but what you do with what you earn. A rich man and a poor man could both earn the same salary. One stays poor, the other starts building wealth. The difference isn't the amount, it's the strategy. You need to unlearn the mindset drilled into you since childhood. You need to stop taking pride in debt and start taking pride in assets. Stop spending to impress and start investing to free yourself. And here's the hardest truth. No one is coming to save you. Not the government, not the bank, not your employer. They all need you trapped. The only person who can cut those chains is you. The first step is seeing the truth. The second step is acting on it. Acting means cutting debt, investing even if it's just a little, learning about assets, and most importantly, rejecting the illusion of the middle class. That illusion is the shackle keeping you down. So now the question is, do you want to keep believing the comfortable lie or face the uncomfortable truth? Do you want to live for appearances or fight for real freedom? Do you want to stay a puppet or finally cut the strings that control you? The choice is yours. But remember, the first key to unlocking a prison is admitting you're in one. If this video opened your eyes, hit like, share it, and subscribe. The more people wake up, the weaker the system becomes. And I'll end with a quote from George Orwell. In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act.